Hey, welcome to the next episode of Aspie Attitude. My name is David, I'm 38 years old and I'm autistic. Before I begin, since this is yet meant to be a controversial episode, I have once again gathered up all my concrete information from the National Autistic Society website. And I do drink alcohol, and that's why I like to talk about autism and alcohol, since I've got a bottle of Heineken in my hand. From the Jessica Kingsley publishers, you could also order this book, Asperger's Syndrome and Alcohol, Drinking to Cope by Matthew Tinsley and Sarah Hendricks. You can order this straight from Amazon, and I do not have this book, and I did come across it on Google. Since it's not my intention to encourage people who are autistic to drink, I do love my beer. These days I avoid spirits like whiskey, vodka and bourbon, since it's all too strong for me. A beer is the softest alcohol beverage I drink. When I was a young adult, I was told by my father before he died in September 2010 that I do not under any circumstances drink any alcohol. I was also told not to socialise with friends who don't find anything wrong with me drinking any alcohol or either encourage me to drink. However, so in the end of the day, I just felt that if I drank alcohol, I would make a man out of myself. And these days, I do have a tolerance for alcohol, and it's all about knowing my limits, since too much alcohol could pose a very bad hazard. I like to drink to make myself more socially confident, and this also dulls my senses, allowing me to cope with my sensory processing disorder and my social anxiety. Once again, drinking too much alcohol could get rather dangerous. And I'd like to talk about what is it like being drunk. You'll feel relaxed, overconfident. It's equivalent to being hyperactive. You can lose self-control, and this could get you into a lot of trouble. And this will dull your senses and slow down your thought processes, allowing you to do or say inappropriate things you'll regret, and you'll only just then make a fool out of yourself. And when you're drunk, you just feel very dizzy. And it's just always hours later. If you don't drink water after binge drinking, you start to rather feel sick, and that's called a hangover, since binge drinking can dehydrate you. Also, alcohol can poison you. That's why a lot of drunken people do vomit. And too much alcohol could cause death. This can also have the same consequences with people who are neurotypical. Alright, back to the autism and alcohol. People like my father told me before he died in September 2010 that autism and alcohol don't mix, because anxiety is the most common to people who are on the autistic spectrum. Most people with autism have a lot of sensory issues. Alcohol becomes a coping mechanism for anxiety and sensory issues. People on the spectrum use alcohol to drown out their anxiety and depression, also to dull their senses. Drinking alcohol without fooling yourself may make you feel less socially anxious. And if you do have auditory stimuli and you're at a noisy party or at a noisy nightclub, those people with auditory stimuli may drink above their limits to drown out the noise that's all around them. If your limits ain't enough, this would make an autistic person want to drink more alcohol. And this could also, in the short future, lead to harder illicit drugs like narcotics and methamphetamines. Oh please, never ever take any of that stuff. That is absolute garbage, taking illicit drugs. Always say no to illicit drugs at all living costs. And just how it is, if you're mentally unstable, keep away from alcohol, or maybe perhaps avoid alcohol. You know what, it's okay to have alcohol with your meal, since the food will help to absorb any alcohol that you drink. And Harry, though, please do not drive a car after you've been drinking heavily. That is just so illegal and very dangerous. You can kill another person or you can kill yourself. Just simply do not drink and drive. And also another thing too is do not drink heavily if you're all by yourself. Always be with a person who can handle alcohol and always be with a very trustworthy person. Then otherwise, like, you have to stay in your limits. And I only had one beer for this episode. And just before I sign off though, I'll see how I go for fidget spinner. I like to say, if you're autistic and you drink alcohol, drink with responsibility, always know your limits. And I like to say this again, always drink with responsibility, always know your limits, and don't drink yourself stupid. And I like to say, peace from Aspie Attitude, and I'm signing off.